And seeing as this is 3MB, we are proudly sponsored by VMB Auto Centres at Handsworth. They're still offering that amazing deal of 50% off your MOT when you let them know that you're a Rambler. Thank you to VMB Auto Centres for their continued support.
Hey, subscribe to Blades Ramble, man.
What is happening, Blades, and welcome back to the Blades Ramble. I am, of course, Jimmy, and this is 3 Mardy Blades. I was going to sort of style this one around the looming fixture list, because that's due to drop on Thursday. We will be live watching it on the Blades Ramble, waiting to see what awaits Sheffield United's fate. And we can still talk about that. What games would you like? We've got to play everybody. So it does, in the grand scheme of things, we're all going to play each team home and away. But I do think there is a sweet science to it in terms of how you can get the blocks of fixtures and what you start with and what's on key dates and things like that. I think it's really interesting. So we can still look forward to the fixture list. We always want to talk about United. There's been a little bit of interest in one of our players, which is something we'll probably cover on the channel, whether it be during this show or tomorrow on a rumour has it or something like that. There's also been an addition to the Sheffield United board that's been announced this evening, which we can also get into, and what potential ramifications it has on the club, if any at all. What do we know about it? Remember, we are just fans that are trying to do some fact-finding like the rest of you, so don't proclaim to be the font of all knowledge. A lot of what you will hear tonight is purely opinion of myself and my two mates. First up, to join me, it is Paul, the man, Mountain.
This is the view from the mountain, with a heart so pure it's astounding. Man, mountain, strong and true. What a man, what a view.
What a man, what a view. How's it going, Mr. Mountain?
I'm all well, thank you very much, Jim. It feels like a long time, doesn't it, mate?
It does, mate. Well,
Almost a reunion.
I know, we took a week off without really mentioning we were going to be taking a week off, really. But it's been very busy between the channels in terms of we've got a lot of World Cup content going on over on the Jimmy Smith channel, as it's known nowadays. And, it hasn't been super active at the lane, and we have to acknowledge that. We have to be aware of that, and we've always said as a channel, despite us having regular shows, we'll never just put shows on for the sake of it. So that's not what we want to do. It's not what we're about. But there are a few things that we need to check in and talk about tonight. But it's not just me and you, is it, pal? Is it? It's not. It's not. The Dave the Nose. Is that what you mean when you say third person? Okay. Right. It's Dave the Nose.
Dave the Nose, he really knows where the wind, I know whispers blow. Smelly brain, he's in the know. Dave the Nose steals the show.
Davey boy, you okay, my mate? No, I haven't. So if Paul's mic was working, people could hear him, but I don't think it is. And I don't see your mic anywhere here either.
I'm singing to you from the mountain when my intro was on.
I was. People can hear me. They're saying in the comments, can't hear Man Mountain. Let me see if I can get that. Dave's muted as well. This is going to be brilliant. This is going to be ace. Let me see if this changes anything. So, no, your mics are still not on there. This might be a very quick show. Mountain Cam 2. I think people should be able to hear Paul now. Paul, have a little word for us? No, don't do that when we're trying to get through it.
Sorry, mate, sorry.
It's all right. Oh, yeah, I could definitely hear you then. I can hear you twice, so let me get that off, and I think you'll still be able to be heard. I don't know why I can't get Dave's mic on. That should be added. And it's a little bit concerning to me that I'm not able to add Dave. Option, show hidden sources. No, there's nothing hidden there. Paul, how are you, my mate?
Will you talk for 2 minutes, Paul? I'll try
Yeah. I don't know whether you got
Is
that. I don't know whether you got that.
Am I reading between the lines here?
I think you could well be.
All right, well. Yes, and oh, there he goes. Is he gone?
It's all right. He's back. He's back. He still can't hear him though. We'll work on this.
Okay.
Oh, it's all right. You keep going, Paul. How are you going, mate?
Yeah, I'm going well, pal. Yeah, it's. I won't be too concerned either. I know you said there's not been a lot going on at the Blades, but lots of people will be on holiday, and so will the players. I think this is the time just before the storm, isn't it? So, or the calm before the storm, should we say?
It is.
So yeah, we're looking for some action soon, obviously, but yeah, I wouldn't be too upset at the moment if there's not a lot going on.
Yeah, good. You keep talking to me about what you're not upset about.
Okay, and a board member. Well, I think we've had quite a few, haven't we, in the last sort of year or two, and I wouldn't be able to name many of them. So I don't know how big a news it is for me. I think if it's somebody who comes in and shows some passion for the club, and that's kind of what you want in it as a supporter. You really want somebody who you feel like can kind of connect with fans. I think that's where the current ownership of. They might be the best owners we ever have, but we can't really form much of an opinion because I don't think that their PR team are doing them a great service, to be frank. I mean, obviously with the mistake they made for Wilder, it didn't endear them to a lot of the supporters, but I'm hopeful that we're gonna hear a little bit more from them, and hopefully that Bettis will have said that from the fans forum to say that there might be a little bit more, and this person might be the man for the job. Everyone's got their specialties and got their things that they're good at, and fingers crossed that this new one might be a little bit more forthcoming with talking to us supporters, because obviously we demand to know all at all times.
We certainly do. You'll be pleased to know I'm almost there, my mate. Dave the Nose, do us a solid and try and say something, please, my old pal.
He's the consummate pro, isn't he?
Correct. No one. Do you know what? I'm going to admit to something now. I've been actually doing stuff in the background, and I don't think people noticed. I don't think they noticed. So that just shows. In times gone by, people would have been able to tell that I didn't have my stuff together. But I think nowadays I can breeze through it, and no one really notices. So yeah, there you go, lads. Lads and lasses that are watching, you may not have noticed, but we had some audio issues to begin with, and I'm pretty sure. I'm a bit of a tech whiz nowadays. I got it sorted in the background without anybody noticing.
Yeah. I've heard people call you that, a tech whiz.
No, neither would I. Something similar. But Dave, nobody's confirmed yet that they can hear Dave. So as much as I'm
that's
all right
a typical
bragging.
stream though, isn't it, Jim? You can't hear him.
I can never get a word in edgeways.
Because he can't get a word in usually. That's probably fair of him to say. Probably fair. Right, let's have a little listen. Silence is golden, says Ray. I hope you're behind. All technical difficulty fixed. I can hear Dave. All technical difficulties have been resolved. The programme will recommence shortly. Right, so lads, welcome to the stream. The seamless stream that is the Blades Ramble. It's great to have you back. Pardon?
I'm only 9 minutes in.
All right, and we turned up late as well, to be fair. That was because I was too busy messing about with cameras. For those that aren't aware, I have had a new computer installed. Thank you to Statman Jack and Adam, the tech man, who his services may well be required again. I've had to rebuild a lot of OBS, which is what we stream from. So there will be the odd little glitch that comes through like that. But hopefully once it's resolved, it will be seamless going forward, and we shall see. We'll soon find out when we start switching scenes, what they're called. So when Paul's talking, when Dave's talking, it might do some different things, but we'll soon find out. We find out together, don't we? Lads, the fixture, where do you want to dive into first? The fixtures, the interest in one of our players, or what was the third one? The new board member. Which one would you like to cover off
Let's
first?
do that in that order if you want.
Okay. Dave, how excited are you about, and get ready for this because I'm going to switch scenes in a minute, about the fixture list?
I am very, very excited, obviously, and I can't wait for us to play Sheffield. Oh no!
Hey!
No, we won't be doing that, will we? No, I am quite excited for it, to be honest, and I think it'll start to kickstart my excitement for the new season, because I'll be honest, I've been a little bit indifferent to football.
This is interesting. This is interesting for me because I am completely on the same page with you. I think it does kickstart the new season. It gives us all, it makes it so much more real. And then shortly after that, we start the pre-season friendlies and we're off to the races again. And I love club football and I would take club football over the country football every time. Doesn't mean I don't want England to do well. Has the World Cup not retained your interest as much despite there being no club football?
No.
No? Not been happening for you?
No, I mean, I've watched bits, but I mean, there's people who are taking in, nearly every game, and I'll have it on if it's on, and sometimes I'm paying attention, and sometimes I'm not. I think I've needed the breaks. I think season before last with a playoff final, I don't think I let myself switch off over the summer, so I went from needing a series of weeks to get over what happened straight into the excitement. Well, we went into the chaos of sacking Wilder, and then we were into the chaos of the entire season. And I think it sort of felt like it's been two periods of craziness into one, and I've needed a few weeks to reset and go again. And that's what I'm hoping's happened with the club, because we've not really had, player-wise, I know you talk about interest in one of our players, but in terms of, first team, we've not really had anything. No,
it's been very, very slow in that regard. And I've spoken to a couple of people recently, and I think everybody's been the same, really, particularly with club football, particularly at Sheffield United. So across the board on doing what I do and stuff like that, views have been down because people take a break, and it's a natural break. But because of the poor end to the season and people sort of lost interest towards the end of the season, and it's been very, very slow, that's why you've not seen us on as much, because we don't want to just put stuff out for that. We were saying it with Paul earlier, but we don't just want to put stuff out for the sake of it. And I think people have just got jaded with it and sort of needed that break, lost a bit of enthusiasm for the club. And I'm sure that once things start picking up again in the transfer market, people will find their love for it again and their interest in it again. It's just, it beats you up at times, and particularly when we're not doing so well, you can't ride that momentum of excitement when ultimately we know now we've got to sell players. It's a bit of a rebuild job, and we don't really know what direction we're going. There's already been a lot of changes behind the scenes. We don't really know what to expect. It's exciting in a lot of ways, but also it's because we're not hearing much. People are getting a bit restless and a bit sort of when a thing's going to move. So I understand it. Paul, what are your thoughts, mate, on the pending fixture list?
I think I'd like it to start at home because I'm going to be excited to go, hopefully to go and watch it. I mean, I say that I might be on holiday, but I'm hoping, I want us to get off to a good start, and I think a home tie is good for the fans, and I'd like it to be a relatively big game as well. I like it to be somebody with a bit of clout, a fixture that we're going to be caring about, and just to get the season kick-started. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think while there's no fixtures out, Jim, it's hard to comment. I know when you look back across the season, and you do sort of, sometimes you feel like you're lucky, sometimes you bemoan when you play somebody, because you might run into them when they're on red hot form, or you might, when the team's on like a 5-game winning streak, and you have to take them on, and you're not in particularly good form. I mean, but we don't know any of that, do we? I think there's a lot of good games to look forward to. I think the Championship's going to be a really exciting league. I personally like derbies, but I know that they are levellers, and you might not get the result that you always deserve in there, and it can be players running through brick walls and doing things that they wouldn't do normally. So that's sort of plays into United's advantage, because there's a lot of really good derbies to get its teeth into this season. And I'm hoping that those games end up being entertaining and feisty, should we say? People putting their foot in and representing their clubs. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it, mate. Looking forward to hearing what we get served up, so I can start making my plans about travelling across, and that's something to look forward to.
Me too, mate. Me too. Is there anybody in the division that either of you, obviously the relegated teams are the ones that everybody will think can automatically go in as the favourites for the league. Where would you prefer to put those sort of fixtures? Would you rather go away to them early doors, get them out of the way, get them done and dusted? Would you rather leave them towards the end of the season when you're hoping that you're playing towards a bigger game? Would you rather have them in a busy period where you can just sort of pick up again if it don't go your way and go again? We know there's no such thing as easy games, but if you're going to get a cluster of obvious difficult fixtures, have you got a preference as to where you like to play teams? Paul, you're nodding away, mate.
Yeah, a big side at home early would be really, really good. I think there'll be a lot of transitions in their squads. There'll be probably more changes than we will be making, and we'll be making quite a few. So I think that there'll be early doors will be a good time to play them before they get themselves into some kind of rhythm. I think that'd be quite a good one to have. You're always looking at Boxing Day, aren't you? And sort of the last 3 or 4 to see if you think they're going to be against teams that are going to be quite tasty, maybe around you in the division, I suppose. So yeah, the Boxing Day is always a big one, isn't it?
It is, mate. It is. Dave, any preference on who we get when?
Let's whet the appetite a little bit. So let's have West Ham at home. First game. 3 points.
I love that.
Yeah?
Yeah, I love that.
3 points at home against West Ham.
Can you imagine? So you talk about...
Can you see the enthusiasm coming back into Dave's face as he says it?
Can you imagine? Everyone walks out of that game on cloud 9 and we're like, here we go.
Welcome to the championship. Love it. Yeah, I would love it. I would love it if we
love it.
Let's stick that as a positive one. I mean, on one hand, you can, you want a win, don't you, in your first game? So you can look at it and say, let's have a team that's maybe not as fancied and maybe have an easier go of it. I kind of want us to go out against a relegated team, somebody like West Ham. And if we don't get the result, maybe you can, I know we hate the term, but the free hit type of thing afterwards. But it can really set you up if you turn up at the early part of the season and get a result against one of those guys. I
agree. The fear obviously is that you get Bristol City'd like we did on the first game of last season, and it's how ready you're going to be. And does the lack of activity at this point worry either of you? It's very, very early, isn't it, for these sort of things?
I'm not worried. I'm just bored.
I think there'll be much better condition this year. I think Wilder's already made a statement about wanting to make sure that they're in tip-top shape, and there'll be a lot of head scratching and conversations about how to make that happen. So I'm looking forward to see what he can do. And again, if he gets backed, I think he thinks he's going to get backed, and we hope he does. He'll have some new faces that suit what he wants to do next season.
I'm all right with that. Well, we will be live on the Ramble on Thursday as the fixtures drop, because I haven't got a real job, so I will be here from 11:30, and we will be talking about what fixtures Sheffield United get. And I want as many of you that are able to join me over your lunch breaks and talk to me about how we are setting up for the season. It determines your season, not only due to the pattern of the teams that you play and how you play them, but also what important dates are in the calendar for us as individuals. So there might be birthdays or anniversaries or holidays or things that we need to navigate around. My dad's already hoping that certain dates don't fall because he's already got 3 out of the 20 holidays already booked that he'll be having during the season. So he's already trying to dance around some of those dates. We'll have to wait and see. I'm really excited for it. The strong rumours are that Sheffield United will start with a home game, because we obviously don't play at home the same day as Sheffield Wednesday due to obvious policing and other sort of issues that can potentially come with that, with 30,000 fans from Sheffield United and 100,000 fans from Sheffield Wednesday coming together in the same city at the same time, because they're a massive club that's got so many supporters. So they have requested that their ground, which is state of the art, will not be ready in time for the start of the season. So they requested that it be moved. Yeah, state of summer, a right state. So their ground, as they're going to take on League One and absolutely smash it, they haven't got a pitch to play on at minute. So they are asking if they can please have a little bit more time, sir. Please, could you give us an away fixture first? It's likely that Sheffield United kick off with a home fixture, which will be great in terms of the atmosphere at the Lane. We'll have some new signings. You don't feel like it now, but we will have some new signings in and ready to go. Likely a new captain. We'll have a new assistant manager and first team coach in the dugout. Did we talk about that last time, lads? I don't think we've been together since that actually happened, have we?
No, it was rumoured, wasn't it, when we were talking?
I tell you what then, let's come to that next. So, Alan Knill has left the football club, as we touched on in detail last time. Statman Jack trying to ring me. That tells me something is wrong. No, he's probably just not watching. So I don't know. Nobody else is telling me there's issues. So we'll have to wait and see. Oh, Mountain's muted again.
Oh, it's a disaster.
That'll be why. I know what happened there. That was actually my fault. I know everybody knows it's my fault. But yeah. Control audio using.
So the Sheffield United press team are on holiday still then, which would explain why we got pretty much the most pathetic send-off for Knill that we could have had.
So Alan Knill left the football club, as was heavily rumoured. Guihemme Ramos also left the club. Very little fanfare for Ramos, which you'd expect probably after about a year in the position, less than a year. But Alan Knill, after 10 years association with the club and more than that with Chris Wilder in terms of his managerial career, got a very sort of underwhelming statement and a couple of pictures on the website, depending on which social media platform you were looking at. I wasn't happy with the way Nilly was, we thanked Nilly for his service, if you like. I don't think we do that very well as a club, in all honesty. I think we're quite poor and disrespectful is a harsh word to use, and I certainly don't think it's intentional. I just don't think enough care is put into those sort of messages for people that mean an awful lot to the club, and Nilly goes with all fans' respect. Having said that, I don't want to dwell on that too much because I think I've certainly talked about that enough. We now know that Phil Jones is coming to the club, which was heavily rumoured last time, and I think we did speak about it briefly in terms of his experience at Blackburn, which we're excited about. But he's coming in as first team coach, and we have promoted Micky Collins, who has been part of the first team coaching setup for the last couple of years and was in charge of the under-21s before that. He's also had a spell in charge of Bradford City very briefly as he first stepped into the management and stopped playing. He's now going to be our assistant manager. What are your initial thoughts on this, Dave the Nose?
Yeah, well, we don't know till we see it in action, but I don't mind it. On paper, it's someone who's got a bit of experience, knows the club really well. I think that's better than shoehorning Phil Jones in as assistant straight off the bat. I'm hopeful that he's going to be a good appointment. It sounded like he was pretty highly rated at Blackburn. Should bring standards and hopefully some new ideas. I was a little bit surprised we've maybe not heard anything about Billy, because I kind of had a gut feeling that something may happen there.
I think Bill's got some more football to play, if I'm honest. I think that's
maybe so. On paper, it feels less risky than a massive overhaul of the coaching team, and let's see. That's all we can do.
Paul, what are your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, I watched the interview with him. I thought he spoke well. I'm talking about Phil Jones now. I think he spoke well. Obviously, he's got that experience. We can go around and say it over and over again. Played at the top level, worked under some top coaches, and you're hoping that certainly some of those experiences and those ideas that he's had, he should be bringing to the table, because he'll know what he liked, what the players liked, and fingers crossed, we can have some of that Man United success that he enjoyed over his time there. Let's not hold our breath, but we'll hope that he's going to do a good job. I think he's got that sort of amiable personality. I don't think he'll cause too many ruptures in the system, I suppose. I don't see him as a long-term appointment necessarily, unless he comes in and really dazzles people. I think he's been at Blackburn. He's left there very, very quickly. I gather they probably would have offered him a position there, but I don't see it long term. But I think he's someone we can see what happens if we start playing really well and having a few ideas from set pieces and things. I think, like you say, he'll bring standards and personality to the club, which is good. With regards to Micky, I think he's a low low risk strategy, because Wilder knows him really, really well. It's like he's been auditioning for this job for a lawful long time. I think whenever you work somewhere and promoting people from within is a good thing to do, because it means that other people see that. And like he talked a lot about his pathway, which I think is important. I think for him personally, if he's gonna, if this is his career, then he wants to step forward. And it's not like doing a one-day interview, dazzling people, because people
or even no interview, like some people at Sheffield United.
Yeah, 100%. Well, yeah, but also Jim, he's been interviewing for years, hasn't he? So he's been there for ages, and people know him inside out and know that he's a capable person. I'd much rather take that approach than have someone come in, wow everybody with some spreadsheets and some statistics and tell us a lot of good things,
with an iPad,
and then fail to deliver on them all because you're not very.
That wouldn't happen.
I can't think of what I'm on about.
Not at our club. I think I'm going to disagree with you a little bit about Phil Jones, though, Paul. I think it's a bit more long term.
I'm interested that you think it's a short term. Do you get like Keith Andrews vibes from it, Paul? Is that what you're saying? That sort of where it's another step on his learning, and then he'll leapfrog a little bit further on from us. Is that what you're thinking?
I think he's here in the Championship. He's a lad who's been at Man United for his entire career, bar Blackburn, who he still had who gave him a little bit of an opportunity. But football's a ladder, it's a ladder, isn't it? It's what's next. I think he's a well-known personality, and I think if he comes in and does a good job, like we said, Keith Andrews was probably the most surprising appointment I've seen in the Premier League for years and years and years. But if a Premier League club comes knocking, and someone maybe we used to play with or knows him well, because he'll know a lot of the coaches and he'll know a lot of people in football, I'd imagine, and a big job comes, I don't know. I think he's more likely to move on than a homegrown coach. Let's put it like that.
It's interesting because it's like players, though, isn't it? He'll only move on if he does a good job for us, so we will benefit from him, even if it is in the short term. I did find that an interesting point, though, because I don't know. I can see the merit in what you're saying. Also, I like what you said about Micky Collins, because I think, again, if you relate it to players, if you see players coming in through the youth team at Sheffield United, and you're a parent or an agent of a good young player, or even a loan player from a Premier League club who's looking at a pathway to get through, then Sheffield United can be seen as a club that gives youth a chance. Similar when you're talking about managerial appointments and coaching opportunities. So it doesn't have to be, 5 or 6 Chris Wilders that are experienced, seasoned, been around the block, old boys club, that can just bring in your mates and because you know them and you trust them. He's now willing to go younger and test out new younger coaches, get fresh ideas is the term that's being bandied around. But from what we know, he hasn't worked directly with Phil Jones before. He's obviously bringing him in because he's heard good things about him. He's got a good young growing reputation. But Micky Collins has also, as you said, Paul, earned his stripes within the club. So if you're a young coach coming into the building, you know that I'm being offered an under-18s manager's job now, but that might lead to a 21s opportunity, which might then eventually lead to a first team opportunity. And then who knows, I could be assistant manager one day in the next 3 to 5 years, because that's exactly the trajectory that Micky Collins has followed. So it does show that confidence in your existing staff, because it would be easy. Sheffield United, we're not being biased or deluded to say that Sheffield United could have attracted a name to become an assistant manager. We could have got somebody that has good name. Phil Jones has got good name value. But say a Conor Hourihane who's gone to join Russell Martin at Leicester, I proposed him for an assistant manager's position with us because, yes, he's been a first-team manager at Barnsley, but he's a good young coach. He's played for the club before. And that is the sort of calibre that I think we can attract, who may well be seen as a successor one day. So I think Billy's got a bit more football to play. I know Dave mentioned Billy earlier. I think he'll play one more season, Billy, and then it wouldn't surprise me at all to see him being brought in, whether it be 18s or 21s level. But it's a long game, isn't it, this? Particularly at Sheffield United, you know that there is the opportunity, should you do well, to kick on and get better. So I'm excited at this prospect. I think they've been quite savvy with leaking the news out about Knill, letting that fester and letting that sort of bubble and do whatever it needed to. I'm not saying it was done by design, but I think it's worked out well for the club, where people have sort of not kicked off a little bit, but just been like, oh, well, that's happening. And then it moves to more anticipation and excitement as to the new start once you get your head around the fact that Knill's leaving. The one thing I will say, and I don't think I've mentioned this on air yet, but I have a theory about what's happened with Alan Knill, and it is just my opinion, but see what you lads think to this. My theory is, and I'm maybe miles off, and I don't want to upset anybody by saying it, because it's just what I think might have happened. I think Knill's gone to Wilder and said, I'm all right now. I've done. I've had enough, and I'm ready to pack in or wind down. I think Wilder has then said, I'll get you a payoff, pal. And I think he's gone to the board and said, I need new ideas and I need a new assistant manager. And the board has given Knilly a nice little package to go away, and Wilder has looked after his mate. And that's exactly how I think it's gone down. That's just my opinion. I certainly have no knowledge. Wilder wouldn't want me to say that if that was actually what's happened. Any chance you lads think there might be some merit to that?
Just gotta go and get my big spoon and.
I think that's what's happened.
I'm in the cauldron, and
I know it's a big spoon, and I don't mean to upset anybody by proposing that, but I've racked my brain, and that is the one thing that I'm most pleased about. The one scenario that I'm most pleased with, because it looks after Knilly. The board can afford to give Knilly a nice little package anyway to set her. It's not like putting the club in a huge deficit, I'm sure. We know that everybody's on the same page, really, that, you know, Knilly's happy to go. We've got some fresh ideas in, and I think that might have been... I'd like to think that was the way it was done anyway, even if it's not really happened. So, don't know whether I should have said that live on stream, but, you know, we're always honest here, so I want to give you my honest opinions. Dave, what are your thoughts on that?
Absolute rubbish.
Okay, thanks, mate.
I'm joking. I can see it. Yeah, I can see it.
I can see it too. Okay, next subject. Should we get some comments before we get too far behind? Should we do that? Right, let's do that.
Anyone
Billy says, hats off to you, Jim. I said I backed Scotland to do well this World Cup, and you laughed. You all laughed at me. Rightly so, because they are terrible. Yes, they haven't been very good, have they? They haven't been very good. I'll let the proper football boys know about that today when I saw them. Josh says, hi, Jimmy. If you can remember, I told you last November. I can't remember it. I'll tell you already. No matter what you're going to say, can't remember it. Of how I was going through a tough time. Pleased to say that I'm doing better than ever, making lots of progress. Better days ahead. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Josh, I shouldn't have jumped in there really early. I'm really sorry that I did. I shouldn't. I thought you were going to say that I told you United were going to do well or something like that. Josh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry that you've been going through a tough time, pal. Thank you for sharing it and being open enough to share it. And I'm so sorry I jumped in that early. Dave, I could see Dave shaking his head because he'd obviously read the rest of the comment as I'm talking about it. Josh, I hope you're well now, pal. I'm glad to hear that you're coming out the other side of it. That's put me back in my box firmly. Hi, guys, says Wayne. Great to hear you. Just about, mate. Just about. You jinxed us, didn't you? We're having a lovely break this week in Pickering. Oh, nice. So it's nice to keep in touch with any news. Just heard about an addition to the board. Yes, we need more investment to help Chris. Are the fixtures out this week? Any rumours on the transfer front? Keep up the work. Up the good work, up the Blades, up the Ramble. So yeah, we'll be covering all that today, Wayne. We've already touched on a few bits of it, and we'll be getting to it as well, the rest of it. The statement from the board seems to imply they plan to spend a few bob. I prefer to be optimistic, says Jack. You'll do for me, pal. We like to be optimistic around here. We try and be realistic. That's what Dave's here for. But me and Paul like to be optimistic about things as well. Alex says, evening, Jimmy, the Man Mountain, and Dave the Nose. Just been reading the board statement. Is it a new investor? We will cover it in a minute, pal. We'll get to it, don't worry. CW was back at Shirecliffe today, says Chris. Oh, was he? Let's hope we see some player movement starting now up the Ramble. Alex says, bit unusual. We're not being linked with loads of players. I think Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's due for a medical into at some stage. And who else is it that we're always linked with every window? Lewis O'Brien, Joe Worrell. We'll get them all in, won't we, for medicals as usual. Would like to think we are hard at work and close to signing some behind the scenes. I didn't know Wilder was back, to be honest.
When are the lads back? Is that this week?
Say again?
When's pre-season start? Is that this week?
Next week, I think.
Is it?
Next week, yeah. No sound from Mountain. Dodgy audio, Paul's end. Muted Mountain. Can't hear him very well. Let me skip past all these. Never a ramble without a technical difficulty. All right, Scott. All right. It's true, though. Dave muted as well. No Dave audio. Is this a new tactic of only having Jimmy talking? It's not a bad idea, that, Chris. But obviously, I put my foot in it when I do. So I'd rather hand off to the boys, to be honest. Off-season during a World Cup is always a bit slow to start transfer-wise. You're not kidding, Jack. You are not kidding. Evening, boys, says Russ, who has just watched the Argentina game with Gaz Dunn for us over on the Jimmy Smith channel. Hope it went well, mate. Hope you enjoyed it. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. He says, so excited for the new season, even with the change in budget, says Alex, and expectations. Wilder will have us competitive and strong. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely agree with that. Congratulations on 12K, Jimmy, says Ray. Thank you, my mate.
I
It's
forgot to say that.
We've hit the huge milestone of 12,000 subscribers on this channel. Absolutely incredible. Yeah, it's a bit overwhelming, to be honest. Can't quite compute in my mind.
It only feels 5 minutes since we were doing the 5K.
I know. It's not been 5 minutes, but it feels like it. I
know, but I think that's been the rate of growth, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, thank you, mate. It's everybody in it together. We're all part of it. Can't wait for Fixture's release date because you can then guarantee fans will start screaming for signings and having a pop at the owners for a lack of ambition, says Scott. Yep, you've seen it before. Told you, older aren't really good with technology.
He's the youngest one. That's the scary thing about it.
Yeah, actually. Yeah. Thanks, Dave. Button at you, Danny. Unbelievable.
I don't know if that was really a compliment.
You'll do for me, Danny.
If you want to take it as such, then fine.
No, it weren't, were it? I suppose. Yeah, fair dues. I'll be honest. I've missed loads, especially the cake games. I think that's a channel you shouldn't be watching. The late games, I would just fall asleep. I think.
Yes, you might miss it again.
Corrects himself. Slade Blade says, have we made our first signing? Commentator said when Bindon came on last night, Tyler Bindon belongs to Sheffield United. Well, the commentator was very wrong. Still technically on loan to us until next week, says Jack.
That's true.
I'm not having that. He's a Forest player, isn't he? And I think he will gladly say he's a Nottingham Forest player. I don't think it wasn't included towards the back end of the season, was he? Batman Lou says the nosehousery of our neighbours at the top of this stream. Loving nosehousery at our neighbours. The nosehousery at our neighbours.
Dig at Wednesday.
Dave the Nose's housery towards where Sheffield Wednesday was.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate that. Loving the World Cup, and my head isn't into domestic football yet. I was punch drunk with United by the end of last term. Up the Ramble, like and subscribe. Thank you. Scott moves us into our next topic. Monaco and Nice are both interested in 18-year-old blade Lamine Sidibe. If we were to sell him, it can't be for peanuts, maybe a Lancashire type price, like £2 million. So this is the latest transfer rumour. We don't have to spend a long time on it because we don't know much about him if we're on, or I don't think we do, lads. You can tell me if you do. I don't mean to speak on your behalf. I don't know an awful lot about him. I know the name. I know he's in our academy. I would have recognised the name if you'd have brought it up to me. It's a recent story that's come out from a journalist with a significant following that he is attracting interest from France, obviously Monaco and Nice being the two clubs mentioned. A very broad strokes sort of way of describing it is we've got a good young prospect in our academy that is attracting interest from big clubs. He's a defender, and it's one of those where you think, would you be happy if this means we sell a defender that we don't know where his ceiling is? We've no idea what he's like, so we're talking blind to a degree. Are you happy to cash in on these type of players now due to the situation that we're in? And maybe this wouldn't allow you to keep a Gus Hamer or a Siddy Peck or anything like that. What it might do is allow you to renegotiate a contract for Andre Brooks and offer him a bit more money. If you sold somebody for £2 million, you might be able to put Andre Brooks on parity with somebody else in the squad or something like that. So where do you lie, lads, with selling? It never sits well selling young prospects that you would love to hold on to and try and build the team around. I know we don't know a lot about the individual players, so I don't mean to stitch you up by asking you the question really, but more just how do you feel in general about interest in our youth players? Would you be up for having a discussion about them leaving? Dave?
What side does he play? Do you know?
I keep confusing him with Lennon Patterson, so I will have a look while you are.
I know
Yeah, general
that in a way doesn't make a difference, but from a next season perspective, maybe it does a little bit. I think he's either got to be playing or if it's
he's not even a defender. He's an attacking midfielder. That's because I'm confusing him with Lennon Patterson.
Which side?
Attacking mid. He's a left-footed player.
So probably on the right then, going by modern football.
Possibly. Attacking midfielder always says 10 to me when I think of an attacking midfielder.
It's tough without knowing anything about him. I think the only point I can say is if he's either got to be playing or if there's an offer on the table, it's got to have a really healthy sell-on clause. If it's to who did you say it with 2 French teams? Is that right?
Yeah.
I mean, so if he's going to go anyway and then have a high ceiling, then he's probably going to move on from either of those unless it's PSG. So it may be where we're at the moment that we've got to do those kind of deals rather than losing some of the or like you said, negotiating a contract or helping bring in another player who can maybe have more of an impact straight away. It's a real tough. I'd love to have been able to see him. It'd just be a real shame to have somebody, turn an offer down and have him stuck in the academy playing against the level of teams that they're playing at the moment, given that we're not Cat 1.
Absolutely right. Paul, I will come to you, mate. But it's, as much as we laud our youth setup, and we know we're not Cat 1, but I think we do a remarkable job to nurture our younger talent, and they don't play at a great level. So to say there's a big leap from the youth team into the first team, we have brought through absolute gems in the past, which we know about and we are really proud of. But there's also players that we thought were going to be a big deal that never make it. And this, not knowing about Lamine Sidibe, we can't make an honest judgment about it. And we might not be able to make a good one, even if we'd have seen him half a dozen times at this moment. Because he might be the next Iliman Ndiaye, or he might be the next Diego De Girolamo, might he? So it's one of those, and he might be somewhere in between. It's just a general rule of thumb, really. How come, like Will Lancashire was sold for £2 million, and he's gone on now to be worth 10 million quid probably. If he were to be sold by Tottenham, he'd command 8 to 10 million quid today, and that's before he's fully established himself in and around. Aaron Ramsdale we sold for £1 million. Calvert-Lewin we sold for £1 million. There's these sort of examples where we have sold too soon some of these players. So, Paul, what are your thoughts on it in general, pal?
Well, there's 2 things that you've got to factor in. It's the amount of wedge that sits on a table that comes through in the form of an offer. Yeah. The other thing is, does Wilder rate him and see him as someone who can bridge that gap into the first team? I'd say if he does, I think it's quite short-sighted to flog players at that age for what we would consider to be, average fee. How much can an 18-year-old attract who's never made a first-team appearance or even trained with the first team? There's a big ceiling there. Well, I say a big ceiling. There's definitely a ceiling as to what sort of fee you're going to get. So I think it's, if you look around at our club right now, Jim and Dave, I would say that if you were to put a value on the players and their potential value to us as a club in terms of sales revenue, you're looking at the top 5 consisting of probably Gus Harmon, but then you've got Ollie Arblaster, Sidney Peck, who's probably the top at the moment, Femi Sariki and Andre Brooks as our crown jewels, I would say. Yeah. And they've all been given opportunities through our youth system. I think I know football's a strange old game, and I think the average manager, the life of a manager in the Championship, I think it's about 18 months or something. Wow. So for
that's
Chris
with Watford in the same division.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and for Chris Wilder, it's a case of can I use that money to do something tomorrow, or are we jeopardising
really good point
the legacy of the club by doing so? I think that again, there's a lot of factors we won't understand in this one because we've never actually seen him play a game yet. I think it'd be foolhardy to chuck him out for a paltry fee even with a reasonable sell on. I think it'd be naive, and I think they need to look at this current squad and the value of the players within that squad, and think to themselves, how are we gonna turn a £2 million investment into a £10 million investment? That's Dave, with the new system that's coming in and the amount you can spend. If you're spending £2 or £3 million on a player at this level, you're buying what you know is a guaranteed level of performance, or it should be at least a guaranteed level of performance. When you invest in youth players and ones that obviously are attracting a lot of interest, whether again that's real interest or whether that's a really good agent trying to get something sorted for him, we won't know that either. So yeah, we have to wait until that offer hits the table, and then I'm sure Wilder will assess it and decide whether he thinks he's the sort of talent that can be turned into the next Guihemme or the Arblaster.
Dave, you were pushing back on that a little bit.
I just financially, I think it's the gamble though, isn't it? Because for every City Peck and Ollie Arblaster, we've got a Louis Marsh who's not quite there.
Billy Blacker,
Gilly Booyaboo, Sysach Dev.
I know what you mean.
This has Naukis.
Have they had that kind of interest? Have they had that kind of fanfare?
No, they haven't.
I'm just saying, there's no. I mean, there's never a guarantee anyway. But
there's no science to it, though, is there?
There's no guarantees, but with that kind of, if that interest is genuine and that ability is there, yeah, flogging him early.
That's kind of goes back to my point earlier of how close we see him being to the first team. And if we think he's reasonably, he's not far away, or if we think he's miles away, I think it becomes a different conversation because we are operating in a budget.
I think sometimes, Dave, I think in the circumstances that Sheffield United find themselves, and that is as a top youth academy, and we are a top youth academy. We might not be, Cat 1, but we are a top youth academy with a proven track record of giving players an opportunity and developing those players. A lot of our youth players will get into the Sheffield United first team and become millionaires, and that's what we can offer to these people. And I think that when you look at how you spend your money and how you generate money, I think that investing in the kids is a huge potential bonanza for any chairman and anybody going into football. And Sheffield United probably have one of the best in the country when it comes to converting the youth talent into professionals. And I think we should be ploughing into that as opposed to pulling the talent out.
You might, and I hope you do have names to throw at me here. So we've just spoke about City and Blaster being the sort of Brooks, I suppose.
And Femi
to a degree. Okay, so we've got 4 at the minute. I think the last name mentioned before that was what? Ramsdale?
David Brooks.
No, we sold him before we sold Ramsdale, didn't we?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about players who've come through. So those two came through.
No. We sold Brooks. Will Lancashire's another one.
Will Lancashire never played for the first team?
No. Well, sorry, I don't know what point you're going to.
Yeah, but Jebo's not really it. I know he went to a Premier League club, but he's not really hit.
But they've been through our youth setup,
what I'm trying to get at is that we have got a fantastic academy, and I think it looks even better at the minute because we've had 4 come through in one lump. But if you look back over, it's not been a steady stream year on year of players coming through that have gone on to really go on, take off, become fully fledged internationals at maybe England level.
Don't need to be though, Dave. We have sold Will Asula last season for 10 million, rising to 15.
Right. They don't need to be, but you're talking about potentially turning down good money for a player that hasn't even got anywhere near the first team yet, and we don't know if he's potentially got the chance of getting anywhere near the first team.
So would you have been happy if we'd have 2 seasons ago sold City Peck for £2 million, knowing what you know now about him?
But hindsight's 2020 anyway.
I know, but City hasn't become an unbelievable player, but he's worth more than £2 million, isn't he? So it's
He
just
is
whether you get
now,
the opportunities sometimes.
But if somebody had got to come in for Louis Marsh for £2 million 2 or 3 years ago, would you now think back and think maybe we should have took that?
Yeah, possibly, but we're not going to.
So-
But is
so
it a
you
risk
can-
worth taking if he's got a huge upside?
Right. So, but you can easily make an argument of whether you should or shouldn't have done something 2 years after it happened,
Yeah, that's fair.
because you know what's going to happen. So I think that's it's key to me is how far away it is.
It's going to be a paltry fee. It's going to be a low fee.
Right. It is going to be it's a low fee, but it's no guarantee that he's going to go on to become a player that's worth £10 million anyway.
No, there isn't. No, you are correct. You are right.
Always a gamble.
But you forego the roll of that dice, don't you? You forego that by cashing in on something.
And that's why they're trying to buy him now for £2 million and not thinking, let's see if he gets into first team and we might have to pay £6 or £7 million for him. That's what they're doing. They're also taking a gamble on potential because maybe their headroom allows them to take more gambles like that. Last time we took gambles on players for cheap money, we've ended up trying to flog them all because they've all been rubbish.
I think in that position as well, and that is something that the first team will need backup for next season as well. So if again,
so he's got to be reasonably close to the first team then for him to be considered a backup.
Yeah, at the minute, before we'd have heard of this interest, you'd have put him as behind Louis Marsh, wouldn't you, in terms of getting closer to the first team? Because I don't even think Sidibe's been on the bench this season. So I understand what you're saying, Dave, and I think it's fair. I think Paul makes an even more interesting point about the wider, or the common nature, or the way that football is nowadays. Managers have to think for the here and now rather than the long term. I know, hopefully, we think we've got it a little bit different with Chris Wilder, and I believe that we have. But he has also got a job to do in terms of manage the budget you best you can now to get the best job that you can do now while you're in the hot seat. He'll always have an eye on the future because he's a Sheffield United fan, but primarily he's got a job to do. And that will be to bolster the team and the output of the team now. So has he might not think he's got 2, 3, 4 years to see if Sidibe comes on and kicks on to become a really good player. He might have to weigh up whether he takes the £2 million now and puts it into his first team budget and then, uses that to get in players for the here and now.
If it gets you Harry Suter for this season, do you do it?
It won't get you Harry Suter.
No.
£2 million won't get you Harry Suter. If it gets you, what I would say to you is, I think something more realistic would be, I think more realistic, get him on a loan potentially, but we could do that anyway. I think we'd push the boat out for Harry Suter. I think it probably gets you somebody like, and this is not a name that's come to me, but it's just one that's popping around, Alan Brown, who was on loan at Middlesbrough last season from Sunderland. I think he'll be available this summer. I think it will get you that type of player who's a seasoned Championship professional, and that's a completely different way of spending £2 million into it. Do you have it on this young kid who has the potential to go on and be something really good because he must have something about him for these clubs to be interested in him? Or do you spend it on somebody who's proven to be a decent to good to very good at times Championship midfielder who will improve you and sort of impact the first team this season? And I think Paul's point leans towards most managers will say here and now because it's my job on the line and I have to get a tune out of these players. Wilder might think differently as he wants to build and leave a legacy, but ultimately a lot of managers will say, I can't afford it, so I'm going to use that. I'm going to take that money from that player who might not end up being the next Lamine Yamal, and I'll spend it on a Championship veteran, or I'll get Joe Rothwell in, or whatever it might be.
I think we have, as a club, have to change that tack. I reckon if you're in receipt of parachute payments, there you are on the clock. And I think that for the last 2 years, we have been on the clock. And I think at the start of last season, it's a different conversation because you sort of throw in a lot of budget at a lot of players to try and achieve something very, very quickly with the advantage that you have over the rest of the division. That advantage for us has gone. The new rules get rid of that even more so, in my opinion. Yeah. And I think there is a real short-term be a very short-term view, unless, like we've said, unless the money is absolutely superb, unless it's a fee that we couldn't even dreamed of for someone who's been nowhere near it, and Wilder then weighs that off. I think the whole thing around this 6-month rolling idea of a manager's safety is not healthy. I don't like it. I think that someone like Chris, who's taken over us last season, bottom of the table, guided us into the middle, even flirted with, at times, looking like a side who could go and have a push. And the things that he's done for our club already, we should be looking at it, giving him a contract that reflects what he's done for our club. The fact he came back, the fact that we're entering this season on his terms, I think I want it to be his decision, because I think that his decision making has served us very, very well. And I think that's something that clubs need to get their heads around, and something this chairman and this board hopefully have had a big dose of medicine and understand that a little bit, that we've got actually somebody who actually cares about our club, and will probably stay with our club when a bigger club came knocking. If that happened, probably would stay with us for the right deal, and just to be part of that. You know, there's not a lot of loyalty in football, and I just feel like we've got some in Chris Wilder, and we should be saying to him, here's a deal that reflects that. Here's a deal that reflects what you've done for our club, and we look at the long-term future of it, because this short-term chuck money at stuff, I mean, for us as a non-parachute team, for me now, needs to go out the window, and we need to start building again in a sustainable way, and that is invested in youth players.
Well said, my mate. Well said. Ray says Lincoln at home first game would be ideal. Now you say that, Ray. I think Lincoln will be a weak link this season. I hope I'm wrong, because I love to see teams come up and do well. Not too well, obviously, but Lincoln is a great story. I think Skabala leaving them really hurts them, and I think the joint manager will be an experiment that will more than likely fail, because you don't get many examples of that being successful. Having said that, I wouldn't want them first, because they are going to come in with a ton of momentum. They've just won the league. I would like them to have a little bit of if they're going to have a bounce, it'll be in the first 4 or 5 games. I'd like to leave them alone for a little while and then hit them around Christmas, probably, for me, when they've settled into the division a little while, and maybe start to... That's just my personal opinion on that. Adam says, I asked Gaz and Russ this, interested in your choice. Would you rather have someone like Wolves and West Ham, or someone a bit less competition for the first game? I'm going to circle back to this after the transfer window. I know we've touched on it, but I would rather have somebody like a Watford at home, or a QPR at home, or somebody that I know Paul said he wants a big game. Dave's scenario of West Ham and us winning, sign me up for that all day long. The only problem with that is you can't guarantee 3 points against West Ham, who's going to be one of the strongest teams in the league. So, but the atmosphere would be incredible. Go on, Dave. What are you laughing at now?
I don't want Lincoln, because I think they're going to be weak link, and they'll come up. We won't win.
I'm scared of everything. You know that. Do you not know me at all?
You want Lincoln middle to back of December, when they've played 6 games in 2.5 weeks,
exactly,
and the squad's threadbare. That initial bounce that you get from an enthusiasm.
Yeah, you don't want them early doors. I don't think.
You don't want them in the first 5 games, because they're going to be punching the moon every single week, and you've got to avoid them and get them at the busy times.
I agree.
Or when the similar thing happened with Charlton, wasn't it? Really, you catch them at the wrong time, they catch you cold, and then towards the end, when the legs are tired and they've got lots of games and they've relied on 13 players to get them there, that's when you want them teams.
It is indeed, my mate. What are we expecting from this summer, says Jack? We don't talk about wanting to thin this. We talk about wanting to thin the squad, but won't make that just make it a lot harder. Surely we should be aiming to build a squad, not a starting 11. Only person I'd be looking to get in early is Phillips. Since we are hell-bent on wanting him, we need to get him in early for a solid pre-season. Also, can someone explain the new statement and how it helps us? We'll come on to that, Jack. Just in terms of if we're going to sign one player, I want it to be Harry Souttar, and I want it to be early doors. In terms of wanting to thin the squad out, well, that's up to you whether you believe that our squad is good enough to be challenging at the top end of the Championship, or whether we're not quite good enough with the squad currently to be challenging at the top of the Championship. If you think we need improvements, then you would still say we need to shift some bodies out. I don't think Tahith Chong, Mark McGuinness, Alex Matos, any of these players, Jamie Shackleton, are part of a side that challenges at the top of the division. Again, I'm open for a discussion about it, but I would like to think we could upgrade on some of those players. So, and we are going to lose some players as well in terms of Sidi or Gus or Sariki or Burrows or whatever it might be. So there will be a lot of changes to the squad. It just don't feel like it at the minute because it's quite slow in the transfer market. Slade Blade says, World Cup has been fantastic so far. Been on nights over the weekend, so was able to watch 3 games a night, and all have been very enjoyable. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Cape Verde, mate. Everyone should watch the Cape Verde highlights. Bit of romance in football there.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's some stories that come out of every World Cup, despite what David and Goliath and all that sort of stuff. I love it. I love stuff like that. Oh, I knew this was going to happen. Timed me out. I will just refresh and go back. Where were we? Slade Blade were last one. Mountain muted again. Got that. Adam says, I think if Gus is staying, like I'm going to say he is, a left winger or left midfielder and a centre back, plus Phillips, sell Ty or Cannon and City. Keep the rest apart from the obvious players we want to sell, and maybe a new striker or centre forward. I think the only chance we have of a striker or a centre forward is if we sell Ty or Cannon. I don't think we'll be actively trying to, although there will be some discussions around Ty Campbell if he doesn't sign a new contract. Yeah, I think we'll go further into that when things start to move. Adam, I think it'll be a decent conversation. Evening, fellas, says Paul. Personally, I would like to see Lincoln City do well. I have a soft spot for them as I was born there. Up the imps, but not at the cost of the Blades. Once a Blade, always a Blade. Well said, my mate. Yeah, well, I think we've all got certain affinities to different clubs, but yeah, there's one main club, isn't there, for us all? If S6 have asked for an away game to start the repair work, does that mean they're going to be away till Christmas? Do you think Phil Jones can improve us more than Alan Knill would have? I think we've touched on that. Bobby Clark has signed for Derby for $6 million. Yes, I saw that. That's a really good deal for them. Slade Blade says, just noticed the 12K. Thank you, my mate, for the round of applause. Bell says, hoping everything's well, Jimmy. Up the Clarets, up the Ramble. Thank you, my mate. Great news, Josh, says Dave Morwood, who is giving an appropriate reply to someone who said they were struggling rather than me saying I couldn't remember him talking about it. So apologies again, Josh. Glad you're doing well, my mate. Lads are back tomorrow, if I remember rightly. Is that back for pre-season training? That seems a bit early. I don't know. Interesting.
I'd got 23rd in my head for some reason, so you might be right.
There we go then. There we go. Imminent. Been seen at Shirecliff, says Ray. Sheila's Wheels says, evening lads, good to see you back again. Looking forward to seeing how Phil Jones goes. Feel good about that. I reckon nearly wanted to retire. Me too. Hadn't he been unwell some time back? We're not sure of that. I think that was a bit of wild speculation, people putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with 5. Certainly hope he hasn't been ill. And he hopefully now gets to enjoy what I assume, and it's only an assumption, but what I assume will be his retirement. I don't expect to see him rocking up anywhere, and if he does, I think it'll be more as a part-time consultant to a club that could really do with his experience or something like that. He helped out with Wales in years gone by, Ante, and things like that, which is a bit less laborious than day-to-day football. So up to Nilly to do whatever he wants, and he's earned that right. Big Tone says, I'm a blue nose, but it's a great channel. I forgive you for Robbins. Big Tone, thank you. There's so many positives to take from this comment. Great to see a Birmingham fan here. Thank you for that. You might also be interested in our EFL channel. It's Jimmy Smith EFL. It's a great channel. Thank you, mate. Always appreciate the kind words. Jack Robinson. I can only apologise. Well, I'm not sorry that he's gone, but yeah. Sorry. Evening 3MB, says Dave Morwood. Congratulations on the 12K pay. 12K, come a long way since the toaster cam in the kitchen. Not that long, Dave, because I'm still not able to get my words out. Now look, Tech Wizard, up the blades. Please like and subscribe to all the Ramble channels. Yeah, Tech Wizard, who can't get the mics working for the first 20 minutes of the show. Jack says, not sure why, guys, but I've got a really good feeling about this World Cup and season for United. Stop me before I go too early and lose my head. We are winning the lot. Unbelievable. Scott says Asula and Jebo when we're talking about youth prospects to come through recently. Jebo's dreadful, says FX. He is, but we sold him for money and he's now being linked with the newly promoted clubs in the Premier League, which is crazy. How that kid keeps getting linked with these sort of moves. Played at the highest level though and scored, says Scott. Fair enough. I hope we've got a sell on. Jack says if we don't have the luxury to turn down good money for an academy player we haven't seen. That is Dave's philosophy. Dave puts a lot of merit in that phrase as well. He scored 1 in 16. Don't try and downplay Jebo's value. If somebody was daft enough to pay money for him, then they can do that. FX for me. Sidibe will only go up in price, surely, says Scott. He's 18. Give him a season with us or loan him out. Unless it's decent money, I think 1 year wouldn't hurt. it depends how long's on his deal, doesn't it? I think is he contracted to 2029? So that might be. There might be merit in that in terms of sending him out on loan and seeing how he gets on if he's not going to touch the first team. But again, like Dave says, if he's worth £2 million in what a team's going to offer us, then is it worth entertaining if we were just going to send him to League One on loan anyway? So we'll see. We need them. We need to get them out, get him minutes. Says Jack Wilder has been loyal to United, but United last season weren't loyal to him until they had to do a U-turn on a bombshell of a decision. So I think Wilder will get the choice on every decision. I think he'll be heavily involved. James says, I wonder what will happen over Boxing Day for fixtures. It's on a Saturday and there's a bank holiday on the Monday. And Beats Pop says, and we're proud of it, we're Leeds. I don't know what you're proud of, but you've had a good season last year. I don't know if you're on the right stream, but you're welcome here all the same. And I can't get that comment off now, so why is it not letting me pull that off? All right, we'll stick to James's comment on screen then. Lads, right, final topic for us to cover tonight. I don't know why it won't let me pull that off, but final topic is United have got a new board member. We don't know the ins and outs of it, but we do know somebody quite close to the situation. So let's quickly go over it, and I might do a little bit more digging on this. And then put a video out properly on the Ramble to discuss it in a little bit more detail. But until then, let's just go over the statement that's come out, because there's a few people that have pointed me in that direction and they want to know what's happening with it. So basically, Sheffield United have put a statement out on the website tonight saying, we're pleased to welcome Timothy Ryan to the club's board of directors and 1919 Partners LLC. Mr. Ryan joins Stephen Rosen, Helmia Tukey and Stephen Bettis on the SUFC board of directors. Mr. Ryan retired from the Swaglock company based in Solon, Ohio, and has since supported the growth of numerous successful ventures. Suddenly felt like bold and brilliantly then. He will also work closely with the 1919 Partners LLC as it continues to develop its long-term investment strategy in Sheffield United. A long-standing contributor to community service and philanthropy. He's served on the boards of several non-for-profit organisations. Everyone at Sheffield United is working tirelessly to ensure that Chris Wilder and his team are in the strongest possible position ahead of the new season. There is a lot of then spiel. The next phase strengthens the club further and ensures Sheffield United is even better positioned for sustained growth on the pitch, on-pitch success and long-term achievement. They then tell you a little bit about this 1919 Partners LLC. What I'm going to tell you is I'll cut out a lot of the guff and tell you what we think we've been able to decipher so far. The 1919 Partners is essentially the holding company for Sheffield United's ownership consortium. So he has been brought into that group, and this will help. I believe he is there, and this has come largely from Rich Carrington, who has had conversations with people close to the club. So thank you to Rich for the info. But from what we understand, this guy's involvement will be to source new investment for Sheffield United. Somebody had already commented on it when I retweeted the club's, because it's big news for Sheffield United, but I retweeted the club's announcement, and somebody had already put, his net worth's only £7 million. He's not here to be an investor himself. He's here to facilitate investment, from what I understand. So we will know a little bit more about it as we do a little bit more investigating into it. Lads, is there anything really that jumps off the page at you about this? I know it's not like, oh, brilliant, this is going to be a game changer for us. Do you see it as a slight step forward? Is it something that sort of whets your appetite, or is it just very much wait and see what comes of it? Dave?
Time will tell, won't it?
Time will tell. Do you read it any differently to that, by the way? I don't know whether I interpreted it differently to you or...
No, it sounds like, somebody that's come on board. They can be on the board without necessarily having ownership rights or any shares. So if he's out to go and get investors for us, that's probably what he's been employed to do. When once that happens, I imagine he'll disappear like the darkness at dawn.
Paul, any thoughts on Tim's involvement?
Yeah.
No, then.
Well, again, I assume they've got somebody they've got in for a reason. That reason will never become clear to us. So I feel like we speculate on things that yeah, I mean, if we go up next year, do we give him a load of credit because someone, I don't know. It's yeah, I guess we do, but it's yeah, it's one of those, Jim. It's I don't see operationally how it changes a lot. They obviously see fit to have him involved, and yeah, if I was going to go on to if I worked for a lot of not-for-profit organisations, I think football clubs are probably the place to be, as they are often not-for-profit either. So I think it's
nice.
I think it's encouraging if they've got somebody on who can do that kind of thing. Certainly, if I was about to join a board of a significant professional football club, I'd probably want some of my friends in the media to release a few little stories about how much I'm worth, so that people don't expect me to chuck the best part of my fortune into
your finite fortune.
My enormous fortune. So yeah, I'm not. How much information we is the real deal, I don't know. I know Rich says he's a nice guy, which I think is fine. And yeah, I think he's apparently he's a jinx. He's been to the games and everyone we've lost. So let's fingers crossed that can
change. Yeah,
that can change. So yeah, I mean, if they got somebody in, I guess that's adequate news.
It's thing for me is I think people worry that they may start to lose interest and things like this. I think the moves that they're making shows that they're still very much tied into making a success of United. I'd like to think that was the case anyway.
Yeah, if you own a club like Sheffield United, you need to get it to the Premier League and you need to get it there for 2 or 3 years, and then you can cash.
You do, but they were very well positioned to do that season before last, and we failed. It got 92 points, but we're in the division with 2 teams getting 100 points. So we were very unlucky, very nearly got there, but didn't get there ultimately. And it was on last year really to get there. And they made the mistakes that they did. We all recognise that. But then it's a case of hopefully they don't lose interest and sort of just see it as a failed experiment. I think this gives a little bit of hope that they are trying to pivot a little bit and go with something else. They've been talking a little while about getting fresh investment into the club. This, from what I understand, or what we understand, is not going to be. This Tim guy is not the investor that we're looking to bring on. He is to facilitate the investor. So hopefully, with his background and his skill set that I think he's been brought to the table to sort out and utilise, we will be able to get some significant cash injected into Sheffield United again. So we'll wait and see. It's a wait and see job, isn't it? Nothing has happened yet, really. He's been brought on to try and help further establish us in terms of our financial footing. So yes, lads. So I think we've gone a bit. We haven't gone as long as we normally do. There isn't loads to talk about, as I say. Is there anything else you'd like to cover before we wrap up this evening?
No, we'll just look forward to them training videos coming back on, and yeah, wait for a couple of dominoes to fall, because I think that's what will need to happen if we're going to get fresh blood in the building. It will come at the cost of a couple of our players being moved on, and let's hope Chong can do it for Curaçao and get himself that dream move.
Absolutely right. Dave the Nose, any final thoughts?
I'm with Jack. We're winning a lot. Let's go.
Come on, you red and white wizards.
Let's have it.
3 Lions.